welcome to A New Breed of Golf Live. Michael Breed inside the studio. Excited to be here with you. Excited to help you improve your game. We're going to talk putting today. I know you're going putting. That's exactly what I wanted to do. That is exactly what you want to do, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to talk a little putting. Also, too, we're going to give you some updates from the Genesis. Greg Ducharme is with me. I've got Steve Gibbs running the board. We're going to have a fantastic time here. We're going to go maybe an hour and 15 minutes. Any questions that you've got, please get those over to me. You just log right in here to the question area, whatever that thing is. What are we calling that thing, Greg? The chat room. We're in the chat. So make sure you just get those questions into me in the chat, and then we'll get right to them. Couple of quick reminders here. First, there are many of you that are joining us for the first time, so we appreciate you coming in. Hope you all enjoyed the last one that we did, and we moved this up to noon. What we're going to do is we're going to try to find the right time so that we can do this on a weekly basis and have a little fun, learn a little bit. We're relying upon you to kind of lead us a bit. So let us know if this noon time on the East Coast works for you. Those of you that are out West, let me know if these earlier times work for you. And we just want to try to find the sweet spot. What's going to be the place that's going to work out best? So before we do that, for those of you that are just joining us for the first time, let's give you a little tour of the studio. And Gibbsy, if you can, just run it over to there's the handsome Greg Ducharme joining us. And that's a look at the, hey, Gibbsy, slide your face in there so people can get a look at you. Got to get a little bit in. There he is. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Steve Gibbs. So now when we run around, maybe just wheel that pipe cam out. We've got 14 different cameras in the studio. That right there is the look at the at our locker room area. And then as you come around here, we've got a lot of really cool devices to try to help you understand, learn a little bit. We've got some numbers. We've got a V1 system right here that allows me to, with all the different cameras, and we're going to be able to get some close-ups. We also have a pressure mat in here, which we're going to use today. We've got some numbers, which we're not going to use today. And then, of course, we've got the sim. If you go to a camera one shot, Gibbsy, they can get a look at, yeah, there's the sim in the middle of the fairway. We've got the Michael Breed logo that we worked hard on. So let me tell you about a couple of different things that I want to remind you. One, we've got our logo contest that's going on. The tournament is taking place, and I've heard from a number of you that have sent in. We're still taking some logos. If you've got a poker chip, you want to get a logo to us. Maybe you're a golf professional or you're at a club. You think you got a cool logo. You want to send it over to us. That's an easy thing to do. Just email me at anewbreedofgolf@michaelbreed.com. Give me a picture of the logo. We'll give you an address to send it to, and you can send it along to us. There's still some room. We have a full field, but we're always interested to seeing what kind of logos are out there. And we're going to do this on an annual basis. So make sure that you stay up to date on that one. And also, too, we have our own logos. So we've got a New Breed of Golf logo. If you're interested in getting some of those, all you have to do is send me an email, again, at anewbreedofgolf@michaelbreed.com. We're selling those for $6, and it's a PayPal thing. We've got them in blue, green, and red. So make sure that if you want to have that. And as I said, we've had them blessed. They're all full of good luck, and you're going to make a lot of putts, and you're going to have a lot of fun carrying around that with you. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to give you some insights as to what I pay attention to when I'm teaching people how to putt better, give you some drills, some areas of concern, and then to that end, we're going to answer some of your questions. So make sure that you keep those questions coming in the chat, and then we'll get right to it. So the first thing that I want to do is I just want to talk to you about what I think are some of the important things in putting. And principally, there's a lot of conversation about what is the putter path. Should I move it? Should it arc? Should it go straight back, straight through? What should I do here? And my answer to that is, there's not really, putter paths don't really have a lot of movement. It's not like a golf swing where the thing is moving, feet. This thing is moving inches. And so when we're moving it inches, I'm not looking for a tremendous amount of arc. If it goes straight back, straight through, that's fine. If it has a little bit of movement, that's fine. But what I'm principally concerned with is controlling the face. And controlling the face, when you get to teaching yourself how to control the face, that's when all of a sudden you've got a chance at really becoming a great putter. So what I would urge you to do is, first of all, find a putter that you can aim properly. And second of all, find a putter that allows you to have minimal face rotation. Now, how do we decide, or how do we understand minimal face rotation? Well, one of the things that will help you do that is This is a little device that, excuse me, that I came up with. And all this does is it just attaches to the shaft of the putter like this. You then clamp it in and spin it around. Now, what it does is it gives you an idea of what the face looks like. For some of you that don't have this, go to that pipe cam, Gibbsy. Wheel over here. And this is one of my favorite little contraptions. We have these, what we call gear ties. And you just take a gear tie just like this. Straighten it out. And then all you do is just wrap it around the shaft. So you wrap this around the shaft like this. And what you can see is when I do this, I'm in effect creating a straight line. So if you go to a 7, yeah, there you go. And you can see now how this is relatively a straight line. Now, what I want to do once I have that is I get this ruler. And you take a ruler, yardstick, put it down on the ground like this. And then all you're going to do is you're going to put the gear tie so that it's over that yardstick. And you're just going to make a putting stroke. And what you want is for the most part, for this gear tie to be in this yardstick. I don't want to see it twist like this. So you see that twist and you know you got a lot of face rotation. When you're taking this and you're focusing on keeping that sort of in that yardstick, now what you're going to get is you're going to get a tremendous amount of squareness throughout the putting stroke. And that squareness is going to allow you to make solid contact and control speed. I know that sounds crazy, but once you start taking the face and you start spinning the face, you start varying the speed up and down the putter face. And what happens when you do that is you miss impact points and you create various speeds. So what you're going to do is literally you're not looking at the ball. You're looking at the gear tie. You're looking at the yardstick, and you're going to make sure that that stays pretty much in there like that. And then you're just feeling what that feels like to keep that putter face relatively square. And then when you get that putter face relatively square and you get comfortable and consistent with it, you start hitting putts that don't break a lot. They actually go straighter. And also, too, your speed is much better, okay? So focus on that face, and you're going to have tremendous success in your putting. You're going to make a lot more putts, particularly the short putts, okay? Speed is critical to this. You got some questions already?
I got a good putting question here.
Okay.
Arm lock, still with the arm lock, is that to eliminate wrist action out of the putting stroke? With a conventional putting grip, should you try to eliminate any wrist action?
This is what I would tell you. First of all, I don't know that I'm still with arm lock, but I am definitely with a longer putter. So this putter here is a counterbalance putter, but I haven't arm locked it in. But it allows me, if I want, to arm lock it in. So I am riding that sort of mystical train that says I'm not sure what I'm doing just yet. It's still February. Once I jump into March, then I'm gonna make a commitment. But the arm lock has been really, really successful, and I've enjoyed it. But the arm lock putter's downstairs, and that's just too long a walk for me to go. So the question that he asks is, what does he want to know?
With a conventional putting grip, should you try to eliminate any wrist action?
Everybody's a little bit different when it comes to this, right? I think wrist action, I don't want flipping wrist action, but I don't mind rotational wrist action, okay? So I'm not trying to take the putt. I don't want to add loft to the putter. It's the last thing that I want to have happen. But I don't mind having a little bit of a toe release coming through. So what I see that happens to people is when they take the putter and they come through, they tend to open up that putter face. That's a wrist action. So in order to get rid of that, you may feel like another wrist action in letting that toe release can help you. I would argue that what I would like to see happen, if we're in that, is to feel like that trail shoulder is kind of moving down the line. So one of the things that I like to feel is, and particularly when it comes to head movement, I like to see that trail shoulder kind of chase that putter head down the line. And when I get that happening, I'll get a natural release in the toe. My head will kind of stay pretty centered. And I don't feel like I'm getting a wrist rotation, but I am getting a wrist rotation because that shoulder is chucking that wrist sort of into rotation, even though I'm not rotating the wrist. I hope that answers that question. You got another one?
One from Joey here. I need help with freezing over my putts. On the course, I freeze over the putt. I cannot start the putter back. I end up jerking it back and making a horrible stroke. No
Okay.
problem with practice. Help.
Okay. All right. So, Joey, this is not an uncommon thing here. Gibbsy, this is what I would love to be able to do. Let's take that 5 and kind of bring that down a little bit just so that we can see the hands here. Okay. So right there. Perfect. So what I like to do for people that have a freezing action, what I love is I love a forward press. So I like to go like this and then 2. And let's back out to a 2. I love the count. So what I mean by that is this. What I want to see is I want to see a 1, 2, 3. And so it's what it will do is the count will give you a speed, it will give you a tempo, and it will force you to move your hands. If you're having a difficult time going backwards, let's go forwards to go backwards. This is a very popular thing that we saw years and years and years ago. I'm talking about back when Gary Player was playing, we're talking 60 years ago. They used to take the trail knee and bump it in like this. There were some people that had a little shimmy with their hips. There are some people that have a forward press with the hands. When it comes to putting, I love a forward press with the hands. And I'm not looking for a tremendous amount, but what I want is to get going. I want you to go 1, 2, 3. And when you do a 1, 2, 3 action, what you're going to do is you're going to get reaction. You're going to now react. And it's a command. So you stand over there and you go, okay, here we go, like countdown. You can see the countdown taking place. So we go, here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And what will happen to you is that you'll get comfortable putting that putter into motion. All right. All right. Let me get to a couple other things that we've got here. Gibbsy, if you can show me the capture down there, I want to give everybody an idea of what we've got going on down here. So you may have to spin that camera around because I want to see the there you go. So what I have here is I have a little PVC pipe that I've built, and this is about from this to this is probably about 14, 15 inches. And what I like to do is I like to put this behind the hole on a 10-foot putt. I like to give myself about 1.5 feet. And so what I pay attention to when I'm hitting this putt, as I said before, is I'm controlling that putter face. But also, too, when I'm putting, I put that back there in my drills. I want to hit a putt that's going to get to the front edge of the hole, but not go past 1.5 feet. So when I stand here to putt and I look up there, it's a reminder of speed. It's always a reminder of speed. And it's very easy for you when you're hitting these putts of 10 feet or 8 feet or 6 feet. You start thinking about makes, and it's important, but you have to always be thinking about pace. And so when you take this thing and you build this and you stand over this, it's always going to give you a reminder of, okay, I don't want to hit this too hard. I just want to hit this into where it's got holding speed. So when I hit that putt, it has the speed that I want so that it goes into the hole. And if it doesn't go into the hole, it's not ramming into that pipe back there. And it's a way of teaching yourself how to think about pace. And many of you have putting greens that are in your house. You might have a putting mat. Get yourself one of these. It's very easy to do. You go down to Home Depot, you buy a 6-foot piece of PVC pipe, buy a couple of elbows, get yourself a pipe cutter. Very easy to do. And all you're going to do is measure it out, cut them, put it together. It takes no time at all. It fits in your bag very easily. The pipe comes open. And then what you do is you can bring it out to the putting green, or when you're inside, it's constantly reminding you of pace so that when you're putting, you're able to hit putts that when the speed isn't exactly what you want, you expand the hole. And it expands the hole because it's soft. If the speed is not what you want and it's firm, you shrink a hole. If you don't get the speed you want and it's soft, you expand the hole. So as long as I have this putt somewhere between the front edge of the hole and that pipe back there, I'm expanding the cup. And when I do that, I start making putts like you've seen me make here. Not a great stroke on that last one. It went in on the right edge. But what I did was I took that hole that was 4¼ inches and I expanded it. It was 4¼ inches. And as you hit putts faster, you shrink cups. And I think the number is when it's 4 feet by the hole, when it has speed that's 4 feet by the hole, you shrink the hole to 3 inches. Think about going out to a golf course with a 3-inch cup. You would leave because you think, I can't make this putt. And that's what you're doing when you can't control speed. So I really focus on the speed of the ball as it's hit. And the way you do it principally is with controlling that putter face. And then you build yourself something like this that reminds you every time you hit a putt, I want this speed. So what I like to do is at 10 feet, I like to have 1.5 feet. And at about 20 feet, I give myself about 2.5 feet. And at about 30 feet, I'm going to give myself that 3.5 foot area. That's what I'm doing. And at 30 feet, what I'm hoping to do is, frankly, I'd love to make it, but I'm hoping to 2-putt. That's what I'm hoping to do. That's what you should be hoping to do. Okay? Greg, we got any questions?
Yeah, I got a couple good ones here.
Okay.
This first one from Jamie. Do you prefer a mallet or a blade, and why? And is a center weighted, center shaft mount, or offset, do any of those things make a difference?
So here's what I would tell you. And that's Jamie, it's a very, very thoughtful question. Here's what I would tell you. Everybody is different. So the first place, when I start looking at a putter, the first thing that I'll do with my students is check and see if they can align the putter properly. And I've got in my putter bag, I probably have, of Scotty's putters, I've got to have maybe 20 to 30 putters that I have in the bag. And there are all kinds of things that go on in a putter that help you aim it properly, including the sight line, the neck, the head itself, the color, all of it. I mean, when you know the stuff that I have been privileged to learn about, you realize how difficult it is to find a putter that fits. That's why I'm a big fan of getting fit for putters, not just buying something off the rack, which many of you do. Get fit for a putter. What I like about mallet putters is it's got a long sight line, and that helps typically people line up properly. On the PGA Tour right now, in our latest study that we did, which was last year, there were, and this was a fun study that we did because it was a time where everybody was playing. It was an opposite field event. So we had, 100 people playing on a PGA Tour event. Then we had another opposite field event, and there was, I think, another 130 or something. I think we had 200 plus players in play, and we got the information on every single player and the putter that they used. And 70% of the players on the PGA Tour were using a mallet style putter, which is a fascinating statistic. And that's been a real movement because they do help slow down face rotation. Face rotation in the backswing is one of the biggest culprits why you're missing putts. So as a rule, I would say you got to get fit for the putter. Don't go in with a preconceived notion of what's going to be the best thing for you. But if you're not going to get fit, I would definitely look at mallet putters. And when you start looking at mallet putters yourself, you got to pay attention to what the neck looks like, the depth of it, the weighting that goes on in this. If I show you one of these Scotty Cameron putters, this is the Phantom 12.5. What you can see is it's got fins back here, and those fins help to keep the putter face a little bit squarer in the backswing. So when you're setting up here, and it also has a long sight line, now all of a sudden my putter face is going to have not a lot of movement to it. And as a result of it not having a lot of movement to it, I'm able to keep that putter face relatively square. And as you can see, I get a pretty good outcome. And one of the reasons why I get a good outcome is I don't have a lot of face rotation, and I'm able to line this putter up properly. And so what I would say is, yeah, as a rule, not getting fit, I would experiment with the mallet putters. Okay. Good question. Go ahead, Greg.
Okay. I got a couple more along the same lines. This is from Jeff. Toe hang versus face balance. My putt is going to the right lip of the hole, a slight push. Would one putter help with that?
Yeah, I would tell you. So again, I go back to what I just said about when the putter moves away from the ball, what we tend to do is we tend to fan the putter face open. And when we fan the putter face open, now the only way that you're going to get this ball to not miss to the right as a right-handed golfer is to shut the face or try to pull across it. And when you pull across it, this is an interesting thing. So Gibbsy, give me a 7 down the line if you could. And let's try to get a close-up. Good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this putter. I'm going to wheel it outside like this. I'm going to cut across it with an open face. And what you're going to see is you're going to see this ball break to the left. It's a cut stroke that will break to the left. So go ahead and go to that 7 shot. Here goes this cut across, open face here like this, cut across it. And now what you can see is that thing actually jumped out to the right and it spun over to the left-hand side. What you'll also notice is that putt came up well short. And the reason why that happens is because this is strange to say this. When a ball flies through the air, the axis of rotation is like this. When I take a putter and I cut across it, the axis of rotation gets like this. And it starts to spin like a cork, right? Like a corkscrew. So when we go across like this and go like that, it actually creates a hook spin to it. It's wild. And if I have a long putt, it'll spin more. And if I have a short putt, I can miss it out to the right. So what I would say that's going on in your putting stroke is you're opening up the face and then you're going down the line. And if I open up the face and I don't go across it, now what's going to happen is I'm going to push it out to the right-hand side and it's going to miss out to the right-hand side. And so I would tell you, mess around with a mallet putter. You won't open up the putter face as much, and now you'll start hitting putts that go into the hole. We got another question?
Yeah, we got a bunch coming in here.
Okay.
This is a quick one from Joey. Can you repeat the dimensions of that PVC?
Yes, that PVC pipe. So let me get this here. So this pipe, these arms here, they're about 14 inches long. This is about, this is an inch, this 3/4 inch PVC pipe. And so 14 inches long, it jams in like that. And so from this edge to this edge here is about 14 inches, maybe 15. You don't have to be that precise. But what you do want to do is you want to be precise where you position that, right? So if the cup is 4 1/4 inches and I have 14 inches to this and I don't want to hit this, then I'm going to start this right at the back of the cup. Now, on a 10-foot putt like this, if it's a little inside that, I'm okay with that. I don't want it outside of 18 inches, okay? That's how that, and then this right here, I've got this at about 2.5, 3 feet. That's really not that important. You don't want to have it narrow. You want to have it wide, particularly when you start working with breaking putts and longer putts. You want to be able to have some space in here, okay? Go ahead, Greg.
You're really going to like this one from JNIM5477.
Okay.
Are you trying to strike the ball in the equator of the ball, not too much below, too much above? I assume that would create additional skidding. If below the equator, would it create immediate roll if above the equator?
This is not a planted question. And who asked that question again?
JNIM5477. I couldn't make that up if I tried.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Now, I love this because this is something, let's jump to a 3 here if you could, Gibbsy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you all the reaction of a golf ball when we hit it improperly and then when we hit it properly, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just record this. And this is going to be a below the equator strike. So this will be shaft is leaning backwards, below the equator strike. Okay, made it. Now, let's look at what happens here. And you'll pull that full there, Gibbsy, if you could. Here we go. So coming in. So there's the impact point below the equator. Now, I'm going to draw this line right here. So I didn't put it exactly parallel to the ground, but watch this thing launch. Look at it launch up into the air and spin back. So there's the spinning back now. And it's going to spin back. Look at it up in the air there. That thing's got some hops. And now what it does is when it lands, now all of a sudden there's another bounce. And then it starts to get into a forward roll. So it starts forward rolling down here after it hits this, after it lands right here. So it touches the ground. Look at where that position of that thing is right there. That's at 25 degrees. If I go back to strike, let me go to strike here. So that's about strike right there, okay? So that line, I love this, about 4 degrees. So it's 4 degrees tilted up. By the time it lands, it's 25 degrees tilted back. So that ball had a 20-degree tilt as it went that way. Now, watch what happens. I'm going to erase that when I do this the way that I profess. And the way that I profess is I'm going to put this down like this. Let's make sure that that is, I'm going to try to get that a little bit better there. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I want to strike it above the equator. It's exactly what I want to try to do. And so what I like to do is I like to teach a little bit of shaft lean. And I also pay attention to the loft that's on the putter, but I want a little bit of shaft lean in this. So my shaft lean, I have 2 degrees of loft on the putter. I'm typically working with about 5 in my shaft lean. There's my strike, my make. Don't miss. Haven't missed. I'm on fire today. Now, here we go. Now watch what happens here. So this is coming in. Now watch where the impact point is. So that impact point is right about there. Here's where the ball is. There's that line right there. Now watch. Look at this thing roll. That thing is, I don't know, maybe it's an inch away from its initial spot, and it's already into forward roll. Now, what does that do? That helps me with pace. How? Because of this. Gives you going to a 4? Okay, let's go to a 4. So what happens is this. There's a friction that's happening on the front edge of the golf ball. It's unavoidable. When that ball is at rest and it gets put into motion, there's a friction happening on the front edge of the golf ball. And if that ball is rolling backwards, like in this prior one, when we get to where this ball is struck and down the line right here, this landing spot right there, that friction, when that ball lands and it's going in the opposite direction, it's spinning in the opposite direction of where it's traveling, friction goes up. And what do you think happens when friction goes up? It steals distance. And so what happens is you wonder why your distance control is off, because your club face is a little bit open, your impact point is low on the ball's jumping up into the air, it lands with a lot of backspin, it steals the speed away from the ball, the deceleration rate goes up, so it slows faster. You go into here, and you get into where your strike point is at the equator or slightly above, and that ball gets into a roll right away. And now all of a sudden, what happens for you is, and I'm going to get this impact point here. What happens is now all of a sudden, this friction, because the ball is rolling in the direction that it's going in, what ends up happening is that friction is lower, and it decelerates later. And so all of a sudden, this is something that I learned from Ben Crenshaw. What happens is the ball almost looks like it's got an extra foot or foot and a half of roll to it. It almost looks like it's going to come up short, and then it just keeps going. And that's because the ball is struck purely. And so what I'm a big fan of is I love a little bit of forward shaft lean. I like that high impact point on the golf ball and on the putter face. And when you start to do that and you get that ball into a true roll right away, now all of a sudden your distance control is going to get a lot better, provided that you have control over the face. It's a really interesting question and a great jumping off point. Excellent. Go ahead.
By the way, that's Joel in Indiana. So thanks, Joel.
Thanks, Joel.
Next question from Alfred. Alfred, is the pop putting method generally only for better players?
No, I don't think so. I think a pop putting method is a very good method. What the pop putting method does is it gives you a high impact point. So what happens when you pop putt is you come down. You know what? Let me record it. Let me show you what a pop putt looks like so that you can get an idea. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. I'm going to lever it up into the air like that, and I'm going to pop that in there. I know I'm
When's
making
the last
everything
time you missed.
I'm making everything I look at. It's almost disgusting. But watch what happens. So here's a pop. And watch what happens as this putter comes down into this. Look at the shaft. Oh, that was me just demonstrating. So that wasn't my actual stroke. All right, watch. So now here we go. This path is going down like this. So this is definitely a pop strike down, but look at how high this impact point is. That impact point is way up here. So it's going to drive the ball into the ground. You can see the ball go down to the ground and bounces, but look at it into forward spin. It's already in forward spin. Even though it's up into the air, it's spinning in the direction that it's going in. And that was an extreme example. The point is the pop putting method can work. Is it my preference? No. But if that's the way, I have a good friend of mine, Billy Dober, who I have watched pop putt for, I got to say, nearly 35 years. And I played with him, in November, and that guy pop putted, and he made every putt that this guy can putt. So I'm a fan. What I would tell you is if you're going to be a pop putter, I would definitely urge you to go to a blade. I wouldn't go to a mallet. I would go to a blade because it won't feel quite as clumsy. And it certainly, you don't need all the benefits of the back weighting when you have a pop putting stroke. Okay. It's wonderful, wonderful question. Go ahead.
Next one from Emil. I think you're going to like this one too. I find lining up putts with the line on the ball too mechanical. I pick a spot 6 inches in front of the ball and hit through it. I don't look at the ball, but the line when I hit the ball is that bad.
Okay. So we got to go to a camera 2 here, Gibbsy. So let me tell you about lines on golf balls. First of all, I don't mind lines on golf balls. I think they're wonderful for understanding what's going on in your putting stroke. Okay. So if hey, Greg, will you do me a favor? Will you actually, you know what? I can do it. I'll go back here. So sometimes gets confusing which drawer we have all this stuff in. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. This is where you're probably going to bird dog this with a 5. Okay. And then you're probably going to jump to a 7 here as well. So this is a line. This is a line that I've got on the golf ball that I'm putting with. Now go ahead down to a 7, but really close in on this 7. Okay, just zoom it right in because we're gonna, get way down there and give me a little space. Give me about 5 feet out here. So, yeah. Now, when I hit this putt, what I'm trying to find out is, in the first 5 feet, am I seeing a line? So when I hit this putt and I strike it, I see that line spinning over and over and over and over, and pretty good putt. So what happens is I know that my putter face is in a pretty solid position. That's how I like to use lines. I like to use lines in that fashion there. I don't like to use lines for alignment. When I'm dealing with an alignment issue, it tells me that the putter that you have is the wrong putter for you. That's what it tells me. It tells me the putter that you have is the wrong putter for you, that you don't have the ability to line the putter up. And so what I would say is when I putt, I set the ball on the ground. Let's bird dog this with a 5 again. So when I set the ball down, what I like to do is I like to take my Titleist 1 and I like to lean it towards the hole just like that. So that when I look down, what I'm seeing is just a blank white. I see the top edge of that Titleist, but I see a white golf ball down there. And then all I'm doing from there is I'm just focusing on hitting that ball down the line that I intend with the speed that I intend. And so I don't really put lines on balls. It's too confusing. And the other thing that you find, and people find this too, and that's one of the reasons why this is such an interesting question, is when you line the ball up, you line it with your eyes down the line this way. And then when you go over here, now your eyes are looking at it like this. And rarely do they look the same, nor should they, because your eyes are parallel to the ground when you look here. And when you come down here, now all of a sudden they're stacked. And they're stacked. And so this line is now going to look different. And then you end up going back here and wondering whether or not they're the same. And so what I would tell you is all it is it's a very, very, it's an easy way for me to know that your putter is the wrong putter for you. That's the simplest thing that I can tell you. It's the wrong putter for you. Okay? Go ahead.
This one from Mr. ATL Keys. How should I think about lining up putts to account for breaks within 6 feet? It seems simple in theory, but I'm missing close putts.
Okay. So within 6 feet, I tend to think that there's not a lot of break. What I would also say is that if you are creating putts that break within 6 feet, it's probably your putting stroke. Now, having said that, I'm sure you're sitting there going, no, I have some putts that break from 6 feet. Okay. So what I would tell you is that, and I'm not going to set the break on the green yet, just I will set it later so we can come back to this. But what I like to do is I like to visualize the entry point of the putt. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, that I think that the putter, let's go to a 10 here. Let's say I think that the entry point to the hole is right here, and that the putt, when it comes out, is coming out, I'll call that, say, 430. So it's coming out at 430, and it's going like this, and then it's spinning back like this. So what I try to do is I try to see the line. I try to see the shape of the putt, and what I visualize literally will look something like this. I'll just do this with golf balls here. So it'll go out like this. It'll start to break like this. I'll have a ball like that. And then maybe one final ball that is right on the edge at my entry point right there. So what I will visualize is I will see this whole shape. Literally, like, I'll capture pictures in my eye. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit this ball into my shape. That's all I'm doing when I'm hitting breaking putts, is I'm seeing the shape and then hitting it into it. Now, this is a hard thing to practice, but I will tell you how when I am working with somebody and I'm trying to find out whether they're a line putter or a spot putter, what I look at is how their eyes work. So if I'm a spot putter, what I'll do is I'll have a spot. Let's just say I have a spot that's behind the hole right here. Now, Gibbsy, don't leave camera 3 here. Let's stay on camera 3 for a second. So what I'm going to do is I watch eyes. So I watch somebody putt, and I watch how their eyes work. And if their eyes go from, I'll call it A to B, so it jumps the line. It goes A to B to A to B to A to B. Now I'm dealing with a spot putter. If I have somebody whose eyes are in here a lot, so they're kind of tracing this path, and they see the path, and their eyes are there, and then it kind of comes back, and it goes back again, and then it goes like that, and then they hit this into their line. Now I'm dealing with a line putter. And what you have to discover is whether you're a line putter, you're a spot putter. And I'll tell you a great story. I had a tour professional come to me, and he said, Michael, I've all of a sudden just started putting really bad. And I said, well, when you putt well, what do you see? And he goes, well, I see a track running along the ground, and all I do is just hit it into the track. And I said, okay, let me see you putt. And I watched him putt, and he was spot putting. He was going from here to there and then from here to there. And I said to him, and I videotaped it, and I said to him, how do you think you can see a line when you're not looking for a line? You're jumping from the ball to the spot. And he goes, okay, let me try seeing line. So at first he had a tough time seeing the line, but then after about 20 or 25 minutes and sticking with it, and our word of the day, by the way, is continue. You have to continue. Even though something doesn't work right away, you have to continue. And he did. And all of a sudden, he started seeing the line again, and his eyes were tracing. And he said this last foot was really important to him. So when he came back in, he slowed his eyes in the last foot so that he could start that on the line that he wanted, and he started making putts. And all of a sudden, he was done. And it was literally the simplest lesson I've given. And I can promise you, it's one of the most important parts of being a great putter is knowing how your eyes work. Many of you haven't thought about this, but knowing whether you're a spot putter or you're a line putter is one of the most important things when it comes to being a great putter. And so what I would tell you, and you could be both, by the way, you could be a spot putter in, 3 feet and in, you could be a line putter at here's a 12-footer. You can be a line putter and you can stand here and you can see this line and you can just kind of hit it into that line. To me, what happens for me is I lose speed when I'm putting and I'm having, let's say, a 10 or 12 foot putt. I can lose speed if I'm line putting. So what I like to do is I like to see a little line, but I like to feel that spot at the end, and I might just jump back to that so that when I'm hitting that putt, I now have a target that I'm trying to hit. And it's interesting, by the way, if you all are watching the Olympics and you watch this curling, you'll see somebody at the end of the whatever they call that home or whatever, but he's standing there and I'll put it right here and I'll say, aim it at this. And all of a sudden the guy's going, okay. And he's got a spot that he's going to aim it at. He's not seeing a line. He's actually seeing the spot where he wants to start the shot. So that's something I would pay attention to. Go ahead.
This one's from Jamie. In the follow through, do you send the ball and end your stroke with the putter head pointing to your target? And then as a little follow up to that, do you keep your head still directly over the ball? I try not to look up for half a second after hitting it.
I think it's fine if you want to keep your eye down on if you want to keep your eye on the ground. I think if your goal is to hit this thing and then you feel like you're missing putts because you're looking too early, I'm fine with that. I don't think about pointing the putter at my target, at the hole. Sorry, let me say that again. I don't think about pointing my putter at the hole. I think about taking the center of the putter head, because when I take the center of the putter head, if I twist it, I still have the center of the putter head in the center. So what I like to do is I like to take the center of the putter head and send it down to my target, not the hole, but my target. So I'm going to take the center of the putter head and I'm going to send it down the line there to that target. And as it tracks down the line, the energy kind of sends that ball down the line. But again, control the putter face and you won't necessarily have to worry about that. Go ahead, Gregory.
From Matt, what are the pluses and minuses of a counterbalance putter, counterweight putter?
The minuses, I don't know if there are any minuses. The pluses, I guess there's probably one minus. And one minus is sometimes you don't know where to put your hands on the grip. There's an inconsistency with where you put your hands on the grip. If you're talking about like the putter that I'm using with a counterweight, right? So that can be a minus. There's an inconsistency. I think it takes a little bit of time to do it. Some people might get a grip that they know exactly what's going on. So that might be one of the minuses. The pluses, for me, I feel that the putter is heavier. I like heavy putters. I like putters that have some mass to it. It helps my tempo. And so what I like about this putter is that it allows me to feel the putter head and feel the putter itself while that putter is in motion there. So that's one of the things that I like. But here's what I would tell you, and this is the fun part. Experiment. Try it. See what happens. Don't be afraid of giving these things a try, because at the end of this is really, I mean, you work this hard to give yourself this putt, whatever it is. And this is sort of the payoff. You know, you hit a drive and you meant to hit a fade and it turns out to be a draw, and you meant to start it to the left and it started to the right and it ends up in the fairway and nobody knows what you intended to do. It ends up in the fairway and they go, good shot. And you hit another shot that might not have been the best shot, might not have had the shape that you wanted, but it gets up onto the green. But everybody knows when you're on the green what you're trying to do. Everybody knows, okay, like I stand here and you go, I wonder if he makes this. I hope he's trying to make this. He wants to make this. And when I stand here, I'm going, okay, I want to make this putt. And you know that if that goes in, I did what I wanted to do. And I've done what I've wanted to do. And so what I can tell you is that this is the area that this is your payoff. And so do whatever you got to do to make the payoff. And that means experiment. Okay. Don't be afraid to experiment. Go ahead.
Along similar lines, this is from our good friend Corey in Canada. We don't have a club champion here. So what should we be looking at with the people that are helping us buy a new Scotty Cameron?
Okay. Well, the good news is that we're buying a new Scotty Cameron. So Corey, nice work by you. This is the first thing I would do. And I would go in, look, you're going for a fit. They've got some wisdom. They're going to tell you some stuff, but this is what I would advise you to do. I would say, I need to be able to aim this putter properly. So we call it face control in a stagnant position. And then I need to be able to control the putter face in a dynamic way. So when it's not in motion and when it is in motion. And to be a great putter, I think you have to be able to start with the putter face in a certain spot and finish with the putter face in the same spot. I think that's the best way to be a great putter. I think it's very difficult for you to start with the putter face in one spot and then return it in a completely different spot and hope that that completely different spot is the right spot. I think that's a very difficult way to putt. I like to take an alignment stick, put an alignment stick down the line here so that it's going there. And then what I like to do is I like to take the ball, set up, point it to that, and see if they're the same. So when you go to get fit for your putter, I would urge you to tell who's ever fitting you, hey, do I line this up properly? And I'll show you how I do it. Greg, come on over here if you would. Gibbsy, this is what we'll do is we'll do this for the longer putt, okay? So Gregory, come on over here, line up. This would be we're primarily going to do camera 2s and camera 1. So go to camera 1. So he would line up like this.
Center of the hole?
Center of the hole. What I will do is I will come around and I will freeze the putter. I grab the grip cap like this. I will ask him to now go down the line and see if he thinks that that putter is aiming at the hole. He would say, yes.
Yes.
Okay, now this putter can work for him. And we would cycle through a bunch of different putters to see if he could. So grab that putter that's on the rail that I just putted with the fins and come out and do the exact same thing. So I know this putter can work for him. I lay that aside. Now he goes to this putter and he comes in and he sets it up. I let him know, tell me when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
So he says, good. So now I come in here, I hold that putter like that. He goes back and checks that. Do you like the way that putter is? Does that putter look like it's aiming at the hole?
Maybe slightly more to the right.
Okay, so slightly more to the right. So this putter doesn't work for him. Why? Well, one of the things that you look at is you look at the neck of the putter. So come on and zoom in on there, maybe get a 7 on this one. And what you're going to see is that the necks are similar, but not the same. This bend is longer up here than this one. This is shorter down there. That's about 1.5 inches. This is about 2. And all of a sudden, that has an effect on him. Maybe the fins are affecting him. Maybe the offset affects him. There's all kinds of different things that get into this. And so what I would tell you is don't go. You can get mallet putters that you can aim and mallet putters that you can't aim. And so what you have to be able to do is you have to be able to aim it first. And then after that, then you start making strokes and seeing if you can return the putter face back to where it was originally. And then once you have that, now you got a chance to figure out what putter is going to work for you. Gregory, some of your finest work ever, by the way. Okay. All right. Now, let me go back to this other thing. So one of the other things that affects your ability to control speed is tempo. Tempo is typically bad tempo and good tempo. Typically, they're similar, but they change in one key spot, and that spot is transition. So I lose tempo when I start to go from back to forward. That's when I lose my tempo in a putting stroke. And so what happens is that when that acceleration is inconsistent, now what happens is that, and you have to understand, the putter's hosel is in the heel. So if I start to accelerate really fast, it will actually open up the putter face as it comes through. So you start the first little bit of your swing, the downswing in the putting stroke, the downswing, it starts and it opens the putter face. And now you have to recover that open putter face. Okay. So what I like to do is I like to take a coin. In this case, I've got one of my ball markers and I put it into a cavity. And what I'll do is I make strokes where I keep that coin in the cavity the whole time. And all of a sudden what happens is that your tempo is going to get a lot better. And then what you have to do is you have to get comfortable with that tempo. All right. So when you first put it in there, I don't worry about the make or the miss. I worry about the feel of the tempo. And then once I get to where I feel the tempo, now I go, okay, so it's just a slight pause that's happening in there. And then I feel the slight pause come through that stroke, and I get the make. So focus on what's going on with your tempo, and you'll also control the face, control the strike point, and control the speed. And notice what's interesting here is I've never once at any point in the 50 minutes that I've been talking with you have I mentioned to you about the path of the putter, because the path of the putter is responsible for literally about 5 to 8% of the outcome of the putt. It's just not as significant. The one time I did talk to you about path was offsetting an open face. And that's what happens to many of you. Many of you open up the face. If I give 100 lessons, nobody will ever have too closed a face. It never happens. Never happens. You might start with the face too closed, but you open it in the backswing. Nobody shuts it in the backswing. And one of the best putters that ever lived, Bobby Locke, was a player that believed that the putter face didn't open in the backswing. If anything, it closed. In fact, his famous quote was, "I don't care if I do close it as long as I don't open it," which is the Monarch notes to what he said. Far better to close a putter face in the backswing than open a putter face in the backswing. And as a result, when you do that, you close it, you now get high impact points and you get true rolls. That's what you get. So for me, I don't want to see faces open. I want to see faces square. I want to see faces closed. I don't want to see faces open. And tempo can affect the face in an open position. It's never going to be in a closed position. Go ahead.
From Chip, can you cover your pre-shot, your pre-putt routine? And is there any difference between short putts and long putts in your routine?
Okay, so my routine, first of all, does not change when I have a long putt or a short putt. So my routine, and this is the way my routine has been for, I'm going to guess now, 20 years. It may be more than that, but it certainly isn't less than that. So what I do is this. I get into the stroke, into my setup. I've already gone through, I've lined the ball up, I've done whatever. Now what I do is this. I take one stroke where I'm looking at my target. So I go here. My next stroke, I take where I'm looking down. And it doesn't have to be in this order. If you're working on, maybe you're working on a technical aspect of your putting stroke. Maybe what you do is, maybe you're trying to release the putter head. So at that point, you would start with, okay, I'm going to release the putter head. So I'm looking down. Next thing is I'm looking at my target. Then you come in, you could take your hand off or not. I don't. You could take your hand off or not. Then you come in here. And what I always do is I look twice. So my routine goes like this. It's one stroke where I'm down, one stroke where I'm looking up. I go left foot, right foot. I put that in there. I look. I'm checking to make sure that that putter is aimed where I want. So that's my check. Now I look up again to verify where I'm aiming. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to now hit my ball at where I'm aiming. And so what I do is I go practice putting stroke. My second stroke, the reason why I do two strokes is one for technique and one for speed. That's what I do. So my second putting stroke is going to be for pace. So I'm going to go technique, then pace, then in, alignment, then pace, and then pace. I am on fire today. I'm not kidding you. Like most people, this is the funny thing. When I was doing the Golf Fix, people would say, "You make everything you look at. Is there a channel in the green?" And the answer is no. Sometimes I just make a lot of putts. That's what happens. I'm on fire today. You know what? I mean, it happens. Okay, you got a couple more questions here?
I guess that routine works well. From this one from Gil, if I'm left eye dominant, should I turn my head to the right so my left eye looks at the back dimple of the golf ball, as opposed to both eyes looking straight down at the ball. And is that reverse for a right eye dominant player?
Okay. So I get this question a lot, and I sort of believe in eye dominance, and I sort of don't believe in eye dominance. And then what I believe is this. What I believe is that how you look at the hole is an important part of this. So I'm not a fan, Gibbsy, let's go to a down the line shot. I'm not a fan of taking my eyes and going like this. I take my eyes and I turn my head like this. So when I look up, I make my stroke. I'm always twisting so my eyes are here. I never do this. If I'm doing this, I got a problem. There's something wrong in my posture. I'm setting up wrong. So what I like to do is I like to look at the hole this way. And at that point, eye dominance doesn't matter. The second thing is that what I want you to do when you're putting is I want you to be able to see through your ear. I want you to be able to capture the image. So when I get set up to hit this, I look away. I still have the image of that hole in my mind. Or the start line. I still have that in my mind. So whatever's in your mind, if you want to see the hole, you want to see the line, it doesn't matter. Do it with your ear. And so what you're doing is you're looking over here like this and you look back, but you're still seeing this over here. Now you're able to react to what it is that you see. And then it goes in. It's just unbelievable. I'm telling you, I'm getting a lottery ticket. That's what I'm going to do. All right, go ahead.
This one's from
comical.
This one's from Tom. For short putts with definite break, is it ever a good time to use pace to take the break out of it?
No, it's never a good time. I'm not a fan of altering. So here's the way this works. This is not an easy thing to comprehend. You know what, Greg? Let's do this. Let's put a little tilt in this green, okay? So this is one of the cool parts about the studio is that we can actually take this platform that we're on. Gibbsy, give me a down the line shot, like a 1.
Normally I would ask which way, but I'm choosing this time.
You're gonna give me. It feels like you're chucking me back. So just lift up the right side. Oh, you're gonna give me a cut putt.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's good. That's plenty of break. That's a lot of break.
Too much?
It's just a lot of break. So
let's see if you can make this one.
Oh, you're gonna be that guy. Is that what we're dealing with now?
I'm only
That's
teasing.
what, your job's in jeopardy here. I just want you to know. Okay. All right. So let's go to 2 here for a second. So here's the way this works. I know these are all things that you probably don't think about, but as I say this to you, you're going to go, okay. When you see break, you actually see speed. Your brain has factored in speed. So when I stand here and I look at this putt, I see the break of this not out quite as far as that pipe, but certainly past the halfway point between the left edge and the pipe itself. So what happens is that once I've seen that break, I've already my brain has already said, okay, at your normal speed, that needs to go out to here. So I go through all the things that I'm doing, but I'm now focusing on that target out there, and I'm not thinking about hitting a soft putt or a hard putt. Gotcha.
Nice.
So, but what I'm doing is I'm relying upon what my brain has told me. And so I don't think about altering speed. If I stand over this putt and I think, let's say this is a short putt here. So this short putt that I have right here. So this would be a pipe. Now you got to bring the pipe over when you get a chance. So I see this short putt here, right? So let's just say I think this is just kind of outside the edge. So I hit that putt like that. Now, let's say I say to myself, I'm going to take the break out and I'm going to hit this firm on the left side of the hole. So now, there's my head. Once I think firm, now I think my hole has gotten shorter, smaller. So now I've got to be even more precise. And the next thing is, how do I know how hard is hard? So I get in here and I go ramming speed and I hit that at ramming speed and all of a sudden the hole makes a great catch. Okay, great. But if that doesn't go in, now you're in real trouble. And so what I like to do is, and we've done tests on this, I used to believe long time ago that you varied speed. We used to call it knock nudge. I don't believe in that anymore. And all the studies show that you have to putt on a consistent speed. And a consistent speed, your brain starts taking pictures. It captures the line. You get the point where you want to aim this thing. You just hit your normal putt. You let that get into it. The ground will move it, and it moves it. And that's the way I go. So I don't like the idea of let's go ramming speed or let's go soft speed. And the truth of the matter is, and I hate to say this, but this is just the way it is. For most of you, you struggle with controlling speed anyway. So now all of a sudden you're asking yourself that you don't have a lot of control over speed to now put a greater emphasis on the control of speed. It's probably not going to work out real well for you. So I would say work on getting your speed and figure out like, okay, when with my speed, what does my brain tell me that this putt's going to do? Go ahead, Greg.
From Jerry, any advantage to center shafted putter? And from me, do you want me to level this up?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's fine.
Okay,
I think after the display of putting that I have been able to put on right now, I don't think anybody's doubting my ability to putt at this particular point. So I think we're good. So Jerry wants to know if a center shafted putter is a good
if there's
putter.
Any advantage to it.
I don't know that there's an advantage or a disadvantage because a center shafted putter is it a mallet putter or is it a blade style putter, right? That's a hard thing to know. What I can tell you with most center shafted putters is they don't have offset. And so if anything, they might even have onset. Is that a bad thing or a good thing? I don't know. Everybody's individual. And so what I would tell you is, look, I go back to what I said before. The most valuable, the most important part of all of this is, can you line this putter up? And so if you can line a center shafted putter up, terrific. And if you can't, get a new one. Okay. So don't try to have a preconceived notion about what's going to help you, what's not going to help you. Go in open-minded and then discover what turns out to be the best thing that works for you. Okay. Okay.
This one's from Paulie. In my stance, do I drop the ball from eye level or do I go inside that a little bit? I heard PGA instructors say both and the other one is wrong. So which is it? I'm interpreting that as your eyes, are they over the ball?
I think, okay, so this is going to, this will need a level surface here. So I think what Paulie's talking about is the following. And I think you gotta drop that down. Yeah, there you go. That's good. So I think what Paulie's talking about is distance to the ball, right? So you stand here and you hold this over your eyes right here, and then you drop it like that. Now, what I can tell you is that that's a real, let's go to that down the line view again on this one. So what can happen is when you drop it, sometimes it can hit your thumb and the ball, when it hits your thumb, it can roll out this way. It's very difficult to do this. You got to do it several times. So you go like this and you drop it that way. Now, what I like with my eye line is I like my eyes to be over the heel of my putter. That's what I like. And the reason why is I like to look like this. When my eyes get over here, they tend to look this way. I know I'm standing too close to the ball. So what I would tell you is that the precision of the eyes to me is important, but not critical, believe it or not. What's more critical is using your eyes for the positioning of the golf ball. In other words, what I want is, and I don't know whether you're going to lean, let's go face on here. I don't know whether you're going to lean a little left or you're going to stay sort of balanced in the center. But what I like is I like returning the putter head to the ball with the identical loft or de-loft. So what I like is when you measure this, not just how far you are from the golf ball, and my distance is 2.5 putter heads, by the way. What I like is when I drop it from my nose, that it would land right on my putter head, literally right on my putter head. So it's going to hit the heel inside. And now I know, okay, that ball is in the right spot for me. And now I'm going to return with the right amount of loft, which even if I'm not lined up properly, I'm getting the right speed. And so what I would tell you is measure the distance to the ball by measuring the club heads. So I go 1, 2, and then 2.5. So I would have to be, this is my proper distance, 2.5. And then from there, I want to have that ball in the right spot relative to my upper body, my nose, my chest with weight. And then at that point, now I'm going to send that down the line and get a pretty good. So we've got a little break going on when we reset that. That is not me. That is Greg putting a hook putt in there for me. Okay. I just want you to know I hit that right where I wanted to. All right, go ahead, Greg.
From Joey, it appears you're setting up with the ball a little forward in your stance. Do you ever adjust ball placement in your putting stroke?
Okay. So forward in the stance. So what Joey's doing is let's not go down there, Gibbsy. Let's go up top. So what Joey's doing is Joey's looking at the ball position relative to my feet, but he's not looking at ball position relative to my sternum. Ball position is always relative to the sternum. And so when I putt, I like to have, and my measurements are, I'm about 60%, 55 to 60% left side, right side. So what happens is that my upper body kind of tends to get over my lead leg. And so relative to my feet, yes, it looks like it's forward there, but relative to my zipper on my shirt, it's pretty much underneath it. And so that position, and by the way, I'm playing a little break there, Greg. I want you to know I hit that on the right edge. I played break.
Maybe it's a ball out.
I think it's a ball out. And I put steamer on that one. That actually hit the back. But here's what you do. Always pay attention. Ball position is always an upper body thing. It's not a lower body thing. It's always an upper body thing. And pay attention to where it is in your upper body. That's why I said drop it with your eyes, where your eyes are. And what I like to do is I'll have a mirror when I'm really working on, I'll have a mirror and I make a dot on the mirror where I want my eye to be. So I'm not going through the constant dropping of the golf ball. It's an important thing for you to do. Okay. I think we got time for a couple more questions here.
From Jeff, I know everyone has their own style of putting their hands on the grip. Is there one that's better than another? And do you like the index finger down the shaft?
I'm not a big fan of the index finger down the shaft. What I am a fan of is getting the grip held in the palm of the hand. So that's a good idea. Go to that 5 shot there. There you go. And then zoom in on my hand. I'm going to turn this way and zoom in right there. Now, what I like to see is, keep going in. There you go, right there. Okay, okay. Now, what I like to see is I like to see the grip. So this is my thumb pad. This is my heel pad. What I like to see is I like to see the heel pad on the side of the grip and the thumb pad on top of the grip. I don't ever want to see it where both the thumb pad and the heel pad are on top of the grip. So what I love is, let's go back down the line. What I love is, and you've seen Tiger Woods do this drill a lot. You've seen a lot of players do this drill a lot, where they just make one-handed putting strokes with their right hand or their trail hand. And the reason why they do that is that it kind of forces you to put this into the palm of the hand. And when you start to put it in the palm of your hand, now what ends up happening is that you have control over the putter face. When you start putting it in the fingers, that's when you lose control over the putter face. So for me, what I like to do is, I don't like to have the index finger going down the shaft like this, because you can toss the putter head. That pressure that can happen out of that index finger, there's a lot of pressure that can be created that can chuck the putter face. And when you start chucking the face, you affect the path. But what you also do is you affect the face. And when you affect both the face and the path, you really, really compromise your ability to strike the ball in the center of the putter face. So what I like to do is I like to get that right hand, the trail hand on properly. Make sure that the lead hand is on in a similar fashion. Aim that putt outside the hole on the right. Finally play Greg's break, and then you can make the putt. So make sure that you're paying attention to how you get that trail hand on there. That's the most important part of the grip, is getting that trail hand on there with the heel pad on the side of the grip and the thumb pad on the top of the grip. That's what I prefer. That's what I ask for all my students. I'll take one more question here.
All right. For this one, we might have to add Greg's grain here. Jamie says, can you give us some tips on bent to Bermuda? I moved south and I really struggle with grain.
Okay. So, grain is such an interesting conversation that it almost pains me to even try to go down this path. But what I can tell you is this. I don't necessarily believe that you have to alter anything that you're doing in your putting stroke when it comes to grain. I don't think that you need to do that. I don't think you alter your ball position when it comes to grain. I think what you have to be able to do is you have to be able to understand grain. But for the most part, here's what I would tell you, and this is the simplest thing to say. Grain is a very fancy way of saying that you're confused. And when you go down to places that have grain, there's still subtlety in the greens. There's still typically golf courses that are built down in Florida were built fairly recently. And when I say fairly recently, I'm going to say within the last 60 years. And as a result of that, they've been able to do things with bulldozers and such that they can sort of, they can work against properties. There's not a lot of high pieces of land and stuff like that in Florida, but they can put mounds in very, very easily. That's what they can do. It's very, very easy to do, but it's also, it can be very subtle. And so what I would tell you is, yeah, you have to practice on grain. Does grain have an effect? It can have an effect. Depends on the speed of the green. The speed of the greens, if they're an 11 or more, grain really doesn't have a big effect because the grass is cut so low. And nowadays, grain is really not a big deal. I mean, I know you feel like you got it, but it's more or less probably something to do with a bunker that's nearby or a subtlety in the green that is not grain related. I know that that's probably not what you want to hear, but I'm telling you that's the truth. Okay. All right. I cannot thank you all enough for allowing us to do what we get to do, which is to speak to you on Sirius XM, to share some thoughts with you on CBS Sports Network on Course Record, and obviously to share our thoughts here in this New Breed of Golf Live. It is so fun to be able to take your questions, to be able to give you some ideas, to be able to make you see things maybe a little bit differently, and hopefully to play and putt, particularly today, a little bit better. We love your feedback, so make sure you send an email to anewbreedofgolf@michaelbreed.com. We want to make sure that the time is convenient for you. Remember, if you miss it or if you just came in late, you can always go back and watch it again. But it gives us a better opportunity to answer some of your questions and go through this. I hope you've enjoyed this. And if you have any insight that you can provide us, hey, Michael, this time's a really good time for us. Hey, Michael, let's try a little bit earlier. And we're going to try a little bit earlier on next Friday. We're going to see if we can't move it to 11 a.m. Eastern, see what that gets for us. So we're going to experiment with some stuff, and we'll finally settle on a time that seems to work for everybody. But we can't thank you enough for all the support that you provide us. This is obviously a passion that we love to share with you, our passion of the game of golf. We know that you love the game, and I hope that you've been able to pick something up here. What I would urge you to do, go of anything, go make sure that you get that little device that I told you how to make. Gibbsy, give them a shot of what that device looks like. Again, if you've got that, maybe go to a one shot down the line so that they can see that. Yeah, make sure you go get one of those things. Remember, it's about 14, 15 inches long in the arms, and then it's about 2.5, 3 feet in that piece of part. To remind you of speed, remember, face control is important. Speed's the most important. Impact point on the face and the ball is vital to your success. Don't forget your tempo. Maybe put a coin in the back of your cavity of your putter to work on that drill. And that will help you improve the control of the strike and the control of your speed. I thank Steve Gibbs for all the hard work that you do. Greg Ducharme, fabulous job by you every day, particularly today. And I can't thank you all enough for joining us. Please give us your feedback. I'm Michael Breed. Thank you so much for watching us. Hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. And again, join us on Monday on Sirius XM on A New Breed of Golf and on CBS Sports Network on Course Record. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend.